Hi there, this is Carl Hooker. Welcome you back to another edition of Remote Hacks. This is a two-part video series that I'm doing on parents becoming instant teachers overnight. I know some of you are probably thinking, I need to just get under my covers and hope that this all goes away. Well, it's not. We need to be here to support our kids and make sure that we avoid what could be a potentially very long summer slide. And so that's what this week's video is about. My first bit of advice when you are becoming an instant teacher is if you live in a household with two adults, to assign roles. It's really challenging to become co-teachers. My wife and I struggled with this the first couple of weeks, trying to figure out who was going to take the lead. And in the end, it worked out a lot better for one of us to take a lead role and the other one to take a support role. Try to make sure there is at least one contact person. This will help kind of clean things up with your kids in terms of who do they need to go to make sure they're getting their work done, checking in with their work. And don't get me wrong, this is very much a full-time job for whoever gets that role. So those of you that do not have that role in your household, be sure that you support the lead teacher in your house. The second thing is you're going to have to identify as a parent what kind of learning is taking place from your school. Some schools are offering synchronous learning where they are providing daily interactions, usually over video chat with your child. The other option that a lot of schools have led to is something called asynchronous learning, where students are getting a week's worth of work and then they have to kind of go through that work on their own. Now, both of these have advantages and disadvantages, but as a parent, the disadvantage of synchronous learning is that you are having to make sure that your student has access to a device that can get on the internet and have actual connection with your class, with their classmates and with their teacher. However, the flip side of that, as a parent helping a student through asynchronous learning, a lot of it falls on your shoulders to make sure that your child is getting through the work that they've been assigned. So your role as a teacher really enhances during that asynchronous time. This does have some advantages in the sense that you don't have to worry about your kid being online at certain times throughout the day, but that is a lot of pressure on you to make sure that you've set up a good schedule. My third bit of advice is to make sure that you have some sort of cheat sheet, something that you use that has all of your child's logins on it, all the different websites. We've experienced quite a bit of those coming home to us, and as we kind of dig through emails and look for certain things, we found that we were wasting a lot of our time looking for those logins and that bit of information. So if at all possible, have a cheat sheet that you've created or maybe that your teacher has sent home that you can just kind of have printed out, ready to roll. That way your child knows how to get access to those websites. Some schools are using portals where students can access certain apps that they have access to based on a login, and that's great if they're using that. But if not, I think as a backup, it's always a smart idea to have that cheat sheet ready and available and that your child knows where that is. The fourth thing, and I've mentioned this before on a previous episode, is to make sure that you have some sort of schedule for your kids. Kids crave that schedule. That's why teachers do this all the time in school. It's not just for their own good. It's actually so that kids can feel part of the routine. And I think that's important to have in your house as well. Make sure that you're staying flexible with that schedule. Make sure it's not just a rigid for X number of hours a day, we're going to do this. There's going to be days where you're going to have teachable moments where you're going to want to make sure you expand the schedule when you can. But when it comes to that schedule, you want to be thinking about these 5 things. Number 1, as I mentioned, be flexible. Number 2, avoid long periods of academic time. I try to avoid, in our household, going over 3 hours of continuous academic time. So if you have a big chunk in the morning, maybe a smaller chunk in the afternoon, or mix it up, try not to go all day with just straight academic time. They're going to need breaks throughout the day, as will you. Number 3, remember that the week structure from Monday to Friday is kind of been set on an what I call an old school schedule. You now have flexibility to adjust that however you see fit. We've decided to take Wednesdays off for both our kids and for ourselves. It's been great to have that break time, to have kind of just relaxing time, fun time. But it means that Monday and Tuesday, as well as Thursday and Friday, become a lot more intense with the academics. So our kids know that they have to kind of get through that time frame. If you have that kind of flexibility within your life and schedule, take advantage of it. This is a rare opportunity to be able to kind of restructure what the school day could look like. Number 4, make sure you have some open times for creativity, fun, and engagement, things like that, things that are throughout your day when it comes to the academic part. Don't just focus on those 4 core areas. Make sure that you're also getting some art, some music, some physical education built into that as well. A lot of schools are still providing this or providing you resources for that. Take advantage of that throughout the school day as well. Number 5, make sure you build in a little bit of physical movement and some brain breaks throughout the day. It helps for your child's brain. Know that your kid can only go about as many minutes as they are old in terms of continual academic focus. So if you have a 5-year-old at home, expect in about 5 minutes that they're going to be losing focus. And so you want to make sure that you have some sort of built-in breaks for them. If you notice your kid not really focusing that well, give them a pause, let them take a walk, something like that to kind of get them refocused and re-energized. I hope you enjoyed the first part of this 2-part series on remote hacks for parents becoming instant teachers. We'll check back soon for part 2 of this in just a few days. I'm Carl Hooker, and you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Hooker, Instagram at Hooker Tech. Check out my Facebook fan page, Carl Hooker's fan page, or also my website, carlhooker.com. And please, when you get a moment, subscribe below to the videos if you like these remote hacks. There'll be more of them coming out in the future. Thank you for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay sane, and happy learning.